Medicare Gurus Dojo here in Cedar Park, Texas. Thank you for joining us with me, Penny. How you doing today?
Good.
Good. So how's your week been going?
Good. It's been really, really busy.
Good.
Very busy. So I'm excited about that. That's always makes the days go fast.
It does. There's not enough hours in a day,
right?
Yeah. Awesome. So what I thought I'd talk about today is ancillary and products other than Medicare. We're dealing with AEP, obviously, and we are talking about, getting people with their coverage. And sometimes as agents, we're like so rushed, not because we are rushing agents, but because of the nature of the busyness of the season.
Right.
We tend to forget that we are taking care of these clients wholly. So and I'm guilty of this as well, is forgetting to check and see like, hey, we got your medical coverage taken care of.
Right.
Do you have your life insurance taken care of? If you have a Medicare supplement, do you have dental and vision taken care of? So let me ask you, Penny, what are some things that you do to just help integrate the conversation of ancillary plans in your presentation?
Well, I think if you, when you're originally like interviewing them as to what they're calling for and finding out right away what they need. I mean, what they have in place already is huge. And that way, even if you are going to address their supplement plan first, because their health care is the main focus, it makes it so much easier to be able to talk to them then later and say, well, now that that's out of the way, you mentioned you didn't have any dental or vision coverage, and then you can sort of talk about it. Or if they didn't have any life, just even making sure what they have on their life insurance, how much, and making sure that's going to cover everything.
Yeah. There is a slight shift in mindsets, and this isn't how to sell it. This is just how you approach, how you look at the insurance. But when you're looking at medical, it's risk mitigation. Like you get medical insurance because if anything were to happen, you want to limit your costs. You don't want to be spending any money on anything, because if you are, that means something is wrong with you, right? You're like, oh, I got to pay this deductible, pay this copay, right? You pay a supplement premium so that way you don't have to spend any money on additional medical costs.
Right.
But with ancillaries, it's different because you are going to a dentist or a orthodontist or an ophthalmologist to spend money to get stuff taken care of.
Right.
So when they're thinking about coverage, they're thinking, okay, how much am I going to spend in terms of how much am I going to be losing in the long run with glasses or with crowns or bridges?
Right.
So my next question is, when you get these people saying to you, well, how much is it going to cost? How do you respond?
Well, one of the things is a single crown is about $1,500, pretty much nationwide. So pretty much no matter what, I mean, you're giving money ahead for the plan so that you don't have to cover all of that $1,500 later. And it's sort of money making in a way, because or it's certainly money saving. And so that's one of the things you can talk about. You could do the math with them and figure out if it makes sense and how much dollar amount they should be looking at.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, because they know what their mouth is like, or that they know they've had glasses in the past. It's time to get new ones. And this is about how much I spent last time.
Yeah.
They know what they need. If they just start putting it down on paper, then you can help them figure out what level of coverage to get, how much.
Yeah, that's good, because making that point, in the end, it is insurance. It is dental, vision, and hearing insurance. We'll talk about final expense in a minute, but they are still under the assumption that I'm going to spend money to make money, but it really is insurance. You're not meant to spend it. So what I always tell them is I say, look, before we talk about it, you're looking at it from the lens of I need to spend money to make money. But that's not how insurance works. You
Right.
get car insurance, right? You don't get car insurance and then go into an accident. And it's like, okay, now I'm going to spend all this. I'm going to have this coverage. This is great coverage. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they really take into that. So it's like sometimes with me, I have to back them up and say, look, yeah, we can look at the premium. Yeah, we can look at the amounts, what's the word I'm looking for? The deductibles,
Right.
What's the word I'm looking for? Where you get money to spend.
Allowance.
The allowance. Thank you. Yes, the allowance. I couldn't think of the allowance. Yeah, so we could talk about all that stuff, but it's like, what are you needing? That's what's most important. What do you need coverage for?
Right.
A
lot of times they know the answer to that. They
Yes.
know what's going on.
Yeah. So what we do well here is we have people that are calling in, or we're talking to people, and they're like, all right, well, how much is the premium going to be? That makes no sense because I have no idea what you need. Do you need cleanings? Are your teeth pearly whites?
Right.
Do you have no teeth? And you need dentures. So a lot of times people have to understand, look, Medicare and medical insurance, that is the way that it is covered. But dental and vision, ancillary plans, you still have to have that same mindset. You're not just paying a premium to get money back.
Right.
We have to know what's wrong with you
Right.
and what you need before we even can quote anything. Because there's
Right.
some wonderful plans out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's also some not so good plans out there.
Right. Right.
And you've seen them, haven't you?
I have, and you have to know what they need before you can make any advisement at all.
Yeah. So my next question, moving on to ancillaries, final expense. Have your last final expense policy, how did that go?
I think, some people are uncomfortable talking about it, but it's important to bring it up regardless because they need to know when they do start thinking about it, they can call you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's big.
Yeah.
But some people are they already know what they want to, and they're like, yeah, I need to take care of that. And then, when you're talking to them, and I think this is one of the wonderful things Jacob has done here is if you can help them realize that whoever it is that comes and checks on them or takes care of them or has always been there helping them get to their appointments or whatever help they're receiving from family or a neighbor or friend or whatever, that this is really something for that person. If that person is going to be the one when you're gone to make all the plans and arrangements, that it's really something that you can do for who's been taking care of you.
Yeah.
That's huge, I think. And once people realize, and they can start thinking whether they want a big funeral with all of the pieces and parts and that go along with that, that's a whole different, you need to figure out what they want so that you can help them make a good choice about the coverage amount.
Yeah.
But I think for some people, they're just like, oh, I can't even think about that. And they think if they make a plan for that somehow is going to make it happen sooner than later.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are more open about it than you would think if they just start thinking about it. And
one of the things that helps me do well in final expense is when you talk to them, it's like they think that they have to deal with the plan. Like the plan is what they are worried about. The premium is what they're worried about. And what I say to them is, I say, this plan is not for you. You know why?
Right.
Because you'll be dead.
Right.
This has nothing to do with you. You are putting together something that has no effect on you. And I get that attention to them. They're like, what do you mean? I said, this plan has nothing to do with you because you will be in the ground.
Right.
This plan is for your family. This plan is for when you are dead, they have the money to take care of what you want when you're dead.
Right.
And to pull them away of, yes, that's right. So and Jacob created this question. He's like, who takes care of you? He doesn't even quote, he doesn't go into how the plan works.
Right.
He's like, well, before we talk about who takes care of you, who helps you with your health questions, or who checks on you? Do you have a son, daughter, even a grandson or a friend, And then he leans into, well, this plan is not for you, it's for them. Because, funerals, and I don't say to them, you've been to a lot of funerals, right?
Right.
It's a good selling tactic, right? Let's relate. Funerals, familiar, right? No, I don't do that.
Exactly.
No, but what I do say is I say, look, funerals are not thought of until it happens,
Right.
but they're expensive
Mm-hmm.
because it's ceremonious. Anybody can just be thrown in a burlap sack and thrown in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very romantic, although
No.
maybe it is ironically romantic, But the truth is that you want to have a celebration of your life, and it costs money.
Yeah.
And why would you want to burden your family with those costs?
Mm-hmm.
Final expense plans or funeral policies are very inexpensive, but sometimes people just can't wrap their brain around paying a premium for it.
Yeah.
And when we say to them, well, you're donating money to your family so that way they can take care of you when you die.
Right, because they'll be the ones making all the arrangements with the
Right.
funeral home. And
Yes. And what's great about it is that I've had people say, well, I have a life insurance policy already that takes care of it. I have $500,000, $1 million life insurance policy. I say, very good. That's very smart. But I'll tell you this, you don't know, one, if it's allocated to your family for funeral expenses. You don't know that. And even if it is, even if you do know that, you don't know the timetable of when they're going to get that money.
right.
So they may have to drop some cash before they get that life reimbursement.
Right, to get
there's
things
probate
started.
that's involved,
That's right.
So they have to understand that, like your life insurance policy, it being a very smart move to cover your family and your children when you pass, you don't know if that money is going to be allocated for funerals or when it's going to be allocated.
Right. It could be months.
It could be months.
Mhm.
These policies, all they need is the death certificate, and you get a flat check sent to you right away within 72 hours,
Yeah.
which is when you need those expenses paid for
Right.
funerals.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Because the funeral home is, if they passed away at the hospital, the
Mhm.
funeral home comes to the hospital to get the body.
Yes.
So the quicker you can have that money, the better, and
Yes.
get things going.
Yeah. And it's such a small premium.
Mhm.
I'm not even trying to promote ancillaries, but it's just like
Right.
Frank does very well, Jacob does very well in final expense because we as agents forget to ask.
Mhm.
So let me ask you this question. What are some tips to help new agents talk about, we can do final expense, any type of ancillary plan? What are some tips that you feel would be helpful for them to help having the conversation and getting unlocked with the medical plans and having conversations appropriately about ancillary plans?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think that the earlier you ask it in the conversation, once I'm trying to check my prices on my, supplement plan or whatever, go through all the questions. Let me make sure I have the whole picture of what you have currently and what you need, and let's help you get that better
Mhm.
price if we can.
Yeah.
And then if you just ask them the questions right up front,
Mhm.
what do you have this? Do you have that? How much does that cover?
Mhm.
Okay. And who, and you ask them some of those questions, right? And then say, now that I understand the whole picture of what you have, first, we're going to look at your medical coverage, and then you do whatever the
Right.
thing is they called for in the
Right.
first place. But if you've already laid out all the questions at the beginning, it's so much easier to talk about it later.
Yeah. Yeah. I love telling them, like, what we do is an evaluation here.
Yeah.
We're not just we're not going to enroll you. We're going to
Yeah.
evaluate you.
Right. We're looking at your whole picture.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes people can see that as, antagonistic because we're trying to sell them other products. But I like the way that you presented, where it's like, look, we evaluate what you have.
Right.
I'm not going to give you something that you can't afford,
Mhm.
but you need to know about it. So when you have people, because we're getting into advanced sales tactics here, when you have people that push back saying that they're not interested in dental vision or final expense,
Mhm.
where do you go from there? Where do you personally go from there?
Well, you could, it's so long as you've already taken care of their health care, which
Correct.
is the big one,
Right.
then you can just say that you are happy to help with that in the future. If they think about it and they want to revisit that we're always there to answer questions and help, so you leave the communication open
Mhm.
between you, so they know it's okay to call and check prices later if I decide, or
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes what I always do is if I have someone new to Medicare who have no plans, they're going to be
Mhm.
more receptive to
They are,
entire
yeah.
a total package.
Hmm.
So what I would usually do is I would, get the Medicare supplement quote, and then I go look at a dental vision quote. And if if Aetna competes, I'll look at Aetna dental vision
Right.
or an Aetna dental vision final expense. Some of these carriers, they have everything packaged together. That's what they
Mhm.
want.
Yes.
They want you to be a client. So it's like, I remember one I sold a couple weeks ago, new to Medicare, a little bit of a battle, but it's like, look, this is not your medical coverage. This is your insurance. Medicare, they have to segregate it. So
Right.
here's your quote: Medicare supplement, dental vision, final expense. This is what the total cost for your month.
Mhm.
And then that way they hear, okay, I can, in my mind, budget that.
Right.
And
that's everything.
that's everything together.
That's great.
Sometimes it's like tough when they're quoting something else and you try and pull a final expense, but I always look for those opportunities to say, all right, I see that Aetna or Mutual of Omaha has great dental vision and final expense. So I'll try to do like a total package. Cigna
Yeah.
also has wonderful packages involved, but especially these new to Medicare people, I try and get them involved with, look, yes, we want to get their medical coverage, but their life is going to be better, and they're going to trust you because you are giving them what is essential to their existence on this
Right.
earth,
And a lot of times, since they're new to Medicare, they just came off an employer plan, and it had medical, dental, vision.
Mhm. Yeah.
It had all of that
Right.
all together.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times they're surprised to learn that now that they're getting on Medicare,
Mhm.
their whole package is less expensive
Yeah.
than when they were paying the employer plan every 2 weeks out of their check or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of times it ends up being less expensive for them, and
Right.
they're like very excited about that, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah. Yeah, they are very expensive. So the last couple ancillary plans I want to talk about are cancer and heart attack. Have you had any experience with those?
I haven't really.
No.
I have asked the questions
Right.
and had some people say, yes, I have a cancer or we have a heart, we have heart issues in our family, and I do
Uh-huh.
have a heart attack, but they already had one, the ones
Right.
that but I haven't actually sold one of those.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah. Those policies I feel like are great for people. And here's the misnomer. We talk to a lot of people who are financially struggling.
Mhm.
They, are living off of Social Security. So the misnomer is that they won't buy anything, that
Right.
I can't afford that.
Mhm.
But that is a very big misnomer, because the majority of, I have a few,
Mhm.
but the majority of my cancer and my heart attack policies are sold to people on Advantage plans.
Mhm. And
Because
a lot of my life people too.
yes,
Yeah.
because they want to have some ownership in their life.
Mhm.
Yes, they are being responsible for their coverage and getting the best Medicare Advantage plan by talking to us.
Mhm.
But I always talk to them about those plans, because hospital indemnity plans, especially for people who are sick, very inexpensive. But those people, you've looked at these Medicare Advantage plans and those
Mhm.
daily deductibles for
I
hospital
know.
stays.
I know. It's like not even having any more than your Medicare. It's they add it up together for 3 days or 5
Yeah.
days or whatever. They're as much or more as the plain Medicare, hospital deductible.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It is. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It is a
Mhm.
lot. So when we talk about Advantage plans, people only see with the rose-colored glasses. They're
Right.
like, oh, this is a free plan. It's like, it's not free. You still have to pay the Part B.
Yeah.
But the way that they are designed is that you don't pay anything up front, like a supplement.
Right.
You pay as you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's amazing Advantage plans out there that have decent coverage, but for the most part, they are expensive.
Yeah. They really are, because your supplement plan at 100 or 200 even a month
Mhm.
is your whole, that's your whole out of pocket or
Right,
whatever,
right.
and so all of the Advantage plans are like 6,000 or 8,000 or more for your out-of-pocket costs for the year. So if you have a year where you're sick and you're in and out of the hospital or having a lot of testing done, you're spending a lot more than you would have if you just had a supplement.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever done this? Have you ever, when you're talking about Medicare supplements, I'm going on a quick tangent here. Have you ever talked about what they're paying for their Part B? Like, have you ever included that in your presentation? Like, hey, you're going to be paying $170 plus $130 because of the supplement and the Part B. Have you ever included that?
I actually have. Not often, but I have discussed it once or twice with somebody, but it's the same. I said, that stays the same whether you do an Advantage plan or you do a, you know, that's the whole thing.
Right.
The one for now, 170.10 a month, whether you're even on Medicaid or, well, I mean, unless your Medicaid is paying it, or which I guess it would be mostly. But for an Advantage plan or whatever, you still have to have A and B. So you're still paying that same amount on both of those plans. It's just that the out-of-pocket is zero after your premium's been paid for the year. And the Advantage plan, it's like $6,000 or $8,000 or if you're having healthcare issues and things happening. And you're paying all of that out of pocket. So it's definitely a money saving budgeting thing to do a supplement versus an Advantage.
Yeah, I've always thought about that. Like, it's not in our script. But you know, it's interesting because it has them wrap their brain around, this is what I'm going to be paying for my insurance. It's taken out of Social Security and this is taken out of my bank account. But it's still your money. You know? So I've always wondered, like, what if we presented, and this is just me talking out of my butt, you know, but I'm always wondered, like, you're going to be paying $300 for your insurance a month. You're 170 and you're 130, but from there, you know, you don't have to pay anything. I mean, that sounds like a lot, but it's like, it also is from the angle.
It worked. I just had one recent just like that, and they were ready to go. Let's switch, and then something with, you know, underwriting. We couldn't do it this year, but maybe we can next year. But they definitely saw the light and were interested in getting off their Advantage plan and getting going through the underwriting and getting on a supplement. They were ready. To do it.
Interesting. So, because I mean, when you're thinking about insurance, you're thinking about the total cost, you know, and that 170 for Part B, that's your insurance. You know, the supplement is just the supplement, you know, it covers the remaining 20%, but they come from different funnels of your money, you know? So it's like, you'll be spending $300 a month. Like, if you're coming off a group plan, that could make sense too, because you'd probably be spending more on a group plan, and then say, hey, you have 300 because you got your 170 and your supplement, you know? Interesting. All right, so let's wrap up here. We got a couple minutes left. So to conclude on what we're talking about, especially with ancillaries, okay? How do you feel about talking to clients about ancillaries with them already having ancillaries? They already have plans in place. What is your approach to that?
I think because I ask it early in the conversation, you know, after I know what they're looking for today, I want to change my such and such, you know, plan or whatever. Then I just tell them I'm looking at them as a whole person and their whole everything that they have. And I go through all my questions, including, oh, you have dental, vision, hearing. That's great. How much do you pay for that? And how much coverage is it?
What's the deductible?
And I go through all those questions. What company is that with? Whatever. And I ask the same on their life as well. And then once we have that established and, you know, I tell them, okay, now I see you as the whole picture. And then I say, so let's address your health. And then we start on that path, which is what they called about in the first place. But you can easily say, and do you have any dental procedures coming up this next year or things, you know, or whatever? So is your plan going to have enough coverage to do that? And the same on the life. You can easily say, so you only have, it's only for 5,000. Are you going to get cremated? Or are you, you know, going to be intern, you know, do the internment and whatever? And then you say, well, 5,000 would cover, you know, that, but not the funeral expenses. And do you have family flying in? And do you, you know,
you know what else helps too? With final expense, now that you bring that up, that's a good point. A lot of people that come in to help, that funeral expense helps pay for their income that they're missing.
Right.
you know?
Right.
So if you have a $20,000 policy, you know, and you get that money right away, that can supplement that person coming in and saying, look, I had to take off work. You know, I'm missing work.
Right.
You can use that however you want. And a lot of people use it for that angle where they say, okay, I'm just going to pay for, you know, this person coming to help in and help pay for their own bills, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I told one person, I said, you can have your family throw a $10,000 party, you know?
Right.
It is, you could just say, all right, drinks on me today, you know? Thanks,
Do
buddy.
it on the boat.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you could use it for whatever you want. But I think that separation to help them understand, like, I think that we just, as clients or as agents, we just have to get them to understand, like, you are on the myopia. You're on the lock-in of, I need health coverage.
Right.
It's like, well, this is your life. You know, you don't really
Right.
think about it, nor should you.
Yeah.
But now that you're talking to me, I'm the expert. Let's talk about it. Let's
Right.
think about it. You know, we've talked about your health. What about your dental? How's your mouth? How is, you know, your funeral expense? Do you have something in place? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Right. And you ask early so
Yeah.
you can ask them all the questions. Oh, how much is it covered?
Yeah.
Is that going to be enough? Because sometimes they go, you know, no, it's not. And then you end up
yeah,
having
we'll
two
revisit.
sales out of that
Yep.
same conversation, their health and their,
And then we all win.
yeah. It's a win-win for everyone.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, Penny, thank you for stopping by and chatting about ancillary plans. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you were able to take away, if you are an agent, about learning about ancillary plans. It is a win-win. It is a time for you to talk and help these people out that may not be on their minds right now, but you are the expert and you're the one that is being responsible for helping out with their coverage. So if you took anything from this, thank you for that. Stephen Grip signing out, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Thanks.